Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel called The Tales of J Dog. Ooh, let there be light, he said, and light was.
What episode are we on, Jay?
Number 9.
Number 9.
Yeah.
Jay, we really need to get theme music.
What are you waiting for? Here, press play.
Next time we will have theme music. All right. So, Jay, this episode's going to be about what? We decided that we were going to tell some tales of adventures you've had with friends, right?
Lots of them. Thanks.
Right on. Okay, so
you want to know a tale?
yeah, so who's the friend? So give me a little bit of let's pick a friend. Let's pick a friend. Someone that you want to an adventure.
I'll pick Ken Mallard.
Ken Mallard. Mallard's Landing. All right, Ken Mallard. All right.
Who
is Ken?
Ken was one of my closest ever friends. He was like, we went on some.
Okay. So he's from. So is he your age?
He was older than me.
Older than you?
Yeah. And
okay.
He's.
I just need the nail right there. Oh, thank you.
All right. All right.
It's an adventure living with Dennis.
He's your friend. That's another adventure we'll talk about. Okay.
Ken Ballard was from Toronto.
Okay.
Okay,
what years? What years were you adventuring with him?
Probably, I can't even remember. It had to be in at least the early 80s.
Early 80s? So you were teenagers? Yeah, teenagers.
Yeah, I was, I think.
All right, Ken Mallard, you need to chime in here on the YouTube channel here.
We were so young.
Yeah.
It was in the 80s, I know that much.
Okay.
But anyways, him and I used to, we had this thing called, one of the things was backyard hopping.
Okay.
And the streets in Etobicoke on the lakeshore, they went down to the lake. So they all went one way. And there was a street called Morrison that went this way. So you had 1st Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street, 4th Street, 5th Street. I lived on 5th Street. And I lived on 8th Street. And I lived on 6th Street.
Okay.
Over the years. But it was probably when I lived on 5th Street, we would go backyard hopping. And what that entails is starting from the lake and going up in the backyard and steal whatever we could.
You would steal?
Yeah. Hockey sticks and stuff like that. And going breaking garages and stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I wasn't.
You were a little reprobate.
Oh, yeah. Well, all my friends either went to jail or they were involved in some kind of thing. Like one of my best friends, I won't mention his name, but he held up a gas station with a knife.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I was a young kid that I just loved everybody. But the people I loved the most were the guys that were screwed up.
So are you saying that Mr. Mallard here?
Mr. Mallard was a troublemaker.
Okay.
One time, I went to go visit Mr. Mallard, Ken at his house, and then while I was there, the cops came and took him to jail.
Oh my goodness.
We were all sitting down. His dad was alive at the time, and we were just sitting on the couch, and then a knock at the door, and then the police said, "Is Ken here?" And so Ken went to the door and they took away cups.
Oh no.
And one time, Ken, myself, well, I hadn't seen Ken for about a year or a half year, something like that. So I was working at Canadian Tire on the Queensway, and he came in the store, and I was downstairs, and he said, "Hey, Jay." So I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Not much." "Hey, when are you getting off?" I said, 9 o'clock. So it was close to 9. So he says, "Well, I'll come back, pick you up." I said, "Okay." So I never knew. I didn't know what was gonna unfold.
Okay.
But he picked me up at 9, and a friend of ours, Frank Cox, was in the car, and his girlfriend Kathy, Ken's girlfriend Kathy. And so Ken just kept driving on the highway, and I guess we ended up in Alston, like because he hit the 401 and then kept driving up. So he turned off on one of the Alston roads. It's country out there, so he kept driving for about 15, 20 minutes, and then we're going along this straight. I have no idea where we are, but I noticed there was lights behind us. They kept flashing, and I kept giving them the finger, eh? Like, turn down your high beams, you jerk. So I flip them off and all that stuff. And then finally, one of the cars, there were several cars, chased us. But one of the cars pulled up, finally sped up beside Ken and told him to pull over. It was the cops the whole time. So when the cops, when the first cop told him to pull over, Ken's girlfriend threw out a big chunk of hash, threw it out the window, and the cop saw it. So he picked up the hash.
Oh.
It would pull over. So the cops took Kathy, myself, and Frank back to somebody's. I think someone had a cottage up there. So we went to the cottage, but Ken got hauled away down to jail because, and I didn't know this, but he didn't have a license. The car was stolen.
Oh my goodness.
And
Was he older than you?
yeah, just a couple of years.
Okay.
But I still keep in touch with him. Like the memories we had, like we went to go visit his aunt Edna. She lived in Burlington,
Mm-hmm.
so we'd go to Burlington to visit, and we'd always get high. Eh? It was those were really strange days, but she had a cottage up in Muskoka, so we went up to Muskoka for like a week, and there's this little island. It was like as maybe as big as this room, sticking out of the water. So Ken and I would canoe over to the thing. We'd start a fire, and we'd listen to Rush, and I'd be singing at the top of my lungs every Rush song, eh? And but we'd be higher than a kite.
Oh.
So yeah, good times.
Good times.
Yeah, a lot of
Oh
good
my
times.
goodness.
So he was always getting in trouble with the cops, and then I wasn't really a thief, but it's just the adventure.
Oh.
We got in so much. Oh, one time, this is a good story. One time, I had a sleepover at Ken's house, and he woke me up about 6:30 in the morning. He goes, "Shh, let's go." So we hopped out his bedroom window, and then we went on Lakeshore, the main drive. It was, I guess it was on 4th Street. There was a bakery, and so we were walking and looking, and at that time in the morning, um, what do they call it? the big bakery there, Weston.
Yeah.
They drop off all the baked goods in the back alley, and I kid you not, I kid you not. So we watched them unload all these baked goods there. In the back alley. So Ken said, "Let's go back to my place." So we ran back to his place. He lived over on the bottom of 8th Street, by the lake. So then we went to his place. He grabbed a couple of gym bags, and then we went up back to the store, and we started loading up we loaded up all the baked goods into all these bags, and we loaded them into our pant legs and everything.
Oh my.
And we were just leaving, walking around the corner on, like, we're leaving the alleyway on 4th Street, and we walked around and we saw across the street that who's that? The chocolate milk drop off. Shield Test.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they dropped off a big carton, a milk carton of chocolate milk.
So you went and took chocolate milk?
So we ran across the street, and we just walked by Seal Test, or well, it was Pick and Chicken,
Oh yeah.
and they got their chocolate milk drop off. So we walked by, and then just bent over like we were doing something else, and just kept loading them in the bag. Eh? So Ken grabbed a whole bunch, and he went around the corner, and behind Pick and Chicken, he stashed a whole bunch of them. And then so we went back to my house. We had a veranda there, and we unloaded all the baked goods. And then Ken went back and got the chocolate milk. So here we are sitting with lemon tarts and everything, and big things of chocolate milk. So we went. We had a really screwy friend named Rui. His name was Rui Machado, but we call him Screwy Rui. He was a troublemaker too. Poor guy kept getting beat up, but he was tough as nails. And so we walked. He lived on 5th Street, but on Morrison, like, just, he's around the corner from my house. So we walked to his place with a couple of bags filled, and so we knocked on his, or rang his doorbell, and then he came to the window and goes, "What do you guys want?" I said, "It's early in the morning." And he went, "Look." I never seen a Portuguese guy run down the stairs so fast.
Oh, no.
So we went back to my veranda, and we ate all kinds of baked goods. And then with all the leftovers, Rue would take some, and then if Rue's mother asked where'd you get them, she'd say, "Well, Ken's dad works at a bakery," and Ken, the same thing, he took home. So if his dad said, "Where'd you get the baked goods from?" he'd say, "Rui's mom works at a bakery." So we ate like they were great times.
Oh my goodness.
Those were my thieving days.
Yeah.
And then those guys like to break into stuff all the time. I don't necessarily think it was for the products themselves. I think they just like the thrill.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember a couple of times.
Well, that's why you were doing it, for the thrill.
Well, I was basically mostly the lookout guy. So one time I called this guy's apartment in Ken's complex. I had to keep calling it to see if, and then he'd break in and steal their stereos. He was but it was like he thought, well, as long as the phone still rang, no one's there. So I just kept on the phone and kept ringing. The old rotary phones.
Yeah.
which are now obsolete.
Yeah.
But it was pretty crazy. We did a lot of stuff like that. But I of course, became a Christian shortly after. So I repented of all my sins. And then I was
Did you
noticed-
give the baked goods back?
Oh, they were gone. They were gone that day. But I just didn't. I knew that life wasn't for me. So I became a Christian, and then I stayed away from all those guys.
Will you keep in touch with?
Oh yeah. Well, Ken, I talked to Ken while I lived up in Butcher, Ontario here,
Mhm.
and all those guys, they just, they thought the world of me.
Mm.
I couldn't understand it, but they always bring up. It's like they bring up my Christianity all the time, because when it changed me, it really made a difference.
Yeah.
In school, it made like teachers. I was always kicked out of school,
Mhm.
and when I left Lakeshore Collegiate, the principal said to me, he says, "I don't know what happened to you, but whatever happened to you, it's amazing
Mm.
because there was such a change in my attitude." And that's when I was with Youth for. I went to Bible studies with Youth for Christ Warriors. I came
Oh.
into the school. Brian, I can't remember his last name now, and his wife, I can't remember her name. But our youth pastor,
What was his name or her
Bob.
name?
His name was Bob Fukumoto from Rescue Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
He had his, I can't remember. His friend Brian was with Youth for Christ. So what he did is every, I think on Monday morning, we all, like a whole bunch of kids from all the different schools, got together for a Youth for Christ Bible study.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that was the time, that was right at the time I gave my heart to the Lord. Everything changed.
How'd you give your heart to the Lord?
I opened up my chest.
No.
Here. No.
Where?
I
Was it a friend that led you to Christ, or was it at a rally, or?
I'm trying to think. I've been to so many things. I remember seeing Louis Palau. Remember him?
Oh yeah, Louis Palau.
Yeah. And he was at he was at one of the halls, their schools, by my house. So I went to the big conference. It was pretty cool. I think, like, I know how to give my heart to the Lord.
Because your grandmother.
Yeah, because my mother, and I grew up in Queensway Cathedral, and
Who was your pastor there?
Ralph Rutledge.
Ralph Rutledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know him, don't you?
I do know him. Yeah.
Chappie knows Ralph Rutledge. Ralph Rutledge knew my grandmother really well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was. I remember him.
So you knew how to give your heart to the Lord.
Yeah, but it took me. I really. It took me till I was 19 to fully surrender. So I did at 19, and that's when my whole life changed.
Mm.
Like,
Well, that would be actually a perfect topic for our next episode. I think that would be great. We want to continue on this theme of adventures. Now, this was your
my friend Ken Mallory.
you were like Oliver Twist, going out and doing some thieving like the boys there, in England or whatever. But yeah, very neat. And we'd like to hear about also about, this decision that you made for the Lord, because we're at 20 minutes, so we're beyond our time.
Okay.
We're going to be cut off shortly. So, you know what Jason would love is if you've had an adventure with Jason, why don't you leave him a comment on Facebook and say, Jay, talk about the time we
Yeah. that'd be good.
XYZ. That would be great. Why don't you leave him a message and
Or does anybody out there within the range of this YouTube post, if you have any old pictures, could you send them to me through Messenger? My name is Jay Sunshine, JaySon Shine Dalkey, DHLKE. If you have any old footage of me, like any old pictures, send them to me. I
Yeah.
like to see them.
yeah, sounds good. All right, what a great episode.
It was fun.
So, how do you sign off?
This has been the life and times of Jay Dalkey. Signing off now, and I love you all. God bless you all.